Listen to Downtown Hot Radio on the air 24 hours a day and 7 days a week.
You're now tuned into the Real Rap Radio Show. I'm your host, Walil Archer on Downtown Hot Radio. I'm a special guest today. I have Robert A. Crothers. How are you today?
I'm fine, Wallow. How's everything there?
Everything is fantastic, fantastic. So let's talk about your latest book that was released today.
Okay, I'd love to. It's an Entangled Heart series, and this one is called "Is It Me You're Looking For?" And basically, it's a um, story told by the girl in the first book that I wrote about. I had a lot of people take the first book, Entangled Hearts, A Journey of Forbidden Love, and they wanted to know more about Pam in the book because it was me telling the story, and they wanted to hear Pam. So we had to go out and find her and get her side of the story. So that meant, she's got to read the book to find out what she has to say. So what it was we just got together and wrote the book. I wrote it for her, and she told me, the story, how she uh, looked at our time together as kids, high school, and dating, and a few other things of that nature. Well, when we traveled out to Arizona and other places, things like that. So the book is written in her view, how she saw it, and tells
Okay.
the stories that way.
Okay. Now, what's the title of the book, and how did you come up with the title of the book?
Um, Actually, I got it title of the book, Entangled Hearts. I just felt that's what it was all about. We just had two hearts that just couldn't get together. Something was always going array. The subtitle came from a song from the 60s, I think it was. And I left off a couple of words to it. And that's how I come up with Is It Me You're Looking For? Um, the singer, I can't remember his name offhand right now. Isn't that terrible? Anyways, but anyhow, that's how I came up with the title of it. It's basically I was looking for her, and I just changed it. So yeah, is it me you're looking for? And that's how we did it.
Nice. So, what do you think the reader is going to take away from reading the book?
Well, it just shows you all the problems that we go through as teenagers, the ups and downs of loving somebody at 16, um, and then going back and trying it again and when you're in your 20s, uh, things of that nature, and wondering, is it really meant to be or is it not meant to be? It's a journey, of learning one another, and give and take, and you have to give a little and you have to take a little. It's not all give and all take on one. So that's basically what I see coming out of that book is a lot of here's what I took, here's what she took. Maybe she took a little more, or maybe I took a little less. I don't know. I let the readers decide what they think about it then, at that point in time. But I like the trip going down memory lane to all the places we used to go as kids. So the amusement park, the beach, the drive-in movies, just the Christmas walks through the downtown Boston, looking at all the store window displays, anything, everything like that. So that was the era that it was written in the mid '60s. So it,
Nice.
yeah, it was nice. It was a lot of the people that correspond with me come back and say, oh, it brought me back to when I was young, or oh, I had something similar like that, and then they want to talk to me about it. They want to tell me their story of the book, of their own. So I like it because it does open up a lot of conversations.
Cool. Cool. Now, did you face any challenges when writing this book? And if so, what was some of the challenges?
Most of the challenge is sitting down and not putting everything in it. It's like, do you really want to tell that one? So you had to be very selective on what was going to be read. I better not. Because originally I wasn't telling her about the book. The book was just my way of leaving a legacy for my family, because I don't have children to pass down anything to, so I was going to write books about what I did. Thus, the book coming out about Vietnam. What was it like to be there? Same thing with this book that we're talking about now. Um, but I didn't expect the readers to want anything from Pam, and now they do. And that's how this book came about. The third book of this series coming out is we're still together talking about the books and everything, and we're kind of wrapping up our life in the final series of the books. We're seeing each other. We're doing some things um, that we didn't do in the first two books. So, and talking about them and adding that to the new series.
Now, what was the inspiration behind doing 3 series?
It wasn't. It was only one book. It was the readers that got me to write it. They wanted to know, and so I said, "Okay, I'll write book number two." And then, as I was writing book number two, there was some things that I didn't put in it, and I said, "Well, I guess we'll do a three." And she agreed to do number three with me as well. So it's a combination between um, myself, her, and her husband. So
Man, that's funny. Now, what what was your most memorable moment when it came to writing this book?
the most memorable is the train ride that we fell in love going around a cranberry bog at 16. We had this cranberry bogs. I grew up in southeastern Massachusetts, and there are a lot of cranberry bogs in that area. And this one particular man bought a defunct railroad from Maine and brought it down to his town where he had 5 or 6 cranberry bogs. And when it came time to harvest the cranberries, he thought it'd be easier to lay or set of rail tracks around uh, the levees and everything and just drive a train around to pick up all the cranberries instead of sending a truckload of people out there to lift all the boxes on the truck and then drive the truck back to the cranberry producing plant and things like that. So he bought a railroad, put it down, and then he started giving free rides on it. And then one thing led to another, and next thing you know, he has a Christmas special where he decorates his property with lights and everything, and decorated the train and started charging for train rides around the cranberry bog, where he placed Christmas lights all throughout the bogs, and we just go around and look at them from the train. So about 5.5 miles on the train. That it wasn't very long, just a nice little old steam train that chugged along, and basically we went there for a date and kind of fell in love at that point right there.
Okay. And how many chapters is in this book?
Well, I don't really have per se chapters. There's stories more than they are chapters, because we tell um, of starting with me starting at 16 and then her coming into the picture at when she was 15 at the same store I was working. So that's a story. But of all, there's probably around 23 different stories in the book, about 160 some pages worth of words.
Okay. Now, what was her initial reaction when you went to her and shared the idea that she was writing this book?
Well, yeah, it was complete surprise. It's like, we left, and I don't know if she ever thought I'd make anything of myself. So, um, because we had some pretty rough times, but we kind of knew that we were good friends, but maybe we just weren't meant to be together full time, type like that. But um, she was quite surprised when she read the book, how spot on it was, and she was surprised that I left out some of the stuff that happened. She said, you didn't write about this one, huh? I said, no. I said, let them guess. So, uh, so but when I approached her and found out, I said, look, they want us to write a book about you. They want your take. They said, that's great, but that's only one-sided. We hear how Bob's telling it. Now let's hear how Pam can tell it. And so she read the book to know the stories that I put in there, and then we got together and I wrote them down and developed them and put them in a new book for us.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. I would love to see this as a screenplay.
So wouldn't I? I think I make a good Hallmark or uptown upbeat type movie. It really does have a lot going for it. If nothing else, the the place where it took place out there in southeastern Massachusetts, because the only thing that was missing are most of the amusement parks are long gone now. There's our Saturday nights were always some. We had an amusement park right on the beach. You couldn't ask for a better place as a kid growing up. You could go swimming at night and ride the rides to midnight. So it was a great life.
Good old
And
days. Good old days.
yeah, the good old, yeah, aren't they? We don't seem to remember the bad parts that happened during that period either. You know. So, but yeah, and I as I wrote it, I could hear my parents saying the same thing. The good old days when they were growing up, and what they liked about their growing up, because they grew up in the same town. I mean, you know, my family came from Plymouth Rock back in the 1600s. So, and um, so we never moved out of that area until I left in 1968. So, uh, but that was it. Some of the family, the uncles and things like that, they discovered other parts of New England and instead moved there. So I have cousins throughout, which is the one thing that we have going. But I didn't bother with them and get their take on it. They used to come out there, and I was more or less the activity director for them when they visited, taking them to places, like I said, the amusement park, drive-in movies. It was a big thing all over, but for some reason they liked the drive-in movies where I was growing up, maybe because we were close to a beach. You could go to the movie, you could go to the beach at night. Nobody threw you off the beach. They didn't care what time of night that you stayed. They just had that one rule: if you were 16 and under or something, you had to be off the streets by midnight or some ridiculous time. And it was like, you know, everybody used to say, what can happen after midnight that can't happen before. So that was one of the dumbest laws I ever saw on the books in the state. But okay. So, but yeah,
Now, while writing this book, did you experience writer's block at any point? And if so, how did you overcome it?
I'm gonna say like a writer's block. It was the way I wanted to tell it that I didn't like that. Let's scratch it out and try again. No, I didn't like that. Scratch it out and try again. I wanted to present it in a certain way. I just didn't want, a short version that comes out of my mouth to somebody of what it was like. I went to the amusement park. Okay, well, I had an editor read the book and he says, great. He says, you didn't tell me anything. I said, sure, I did. Look at all the words I got there. Well, I learned a new thing in writing. It's called show me. So description, so I had to learn to describe everything in detail, the color of the sunset, not just say, well, we had a sunset on the beach. Well, what kind of sunset? Well, the one the sun and it comes down and the beach looks nice. No. So I had to go in and learn, describe it. What colors were it? What kind of, the feelings and everything. So there was a lot that I had to learn while writing the book. And that took a lot of time. And I guess you could say there was some writer's block there because I was learning at the same time I was writing the first book at the same time. So there was a lot of it took 3 years on the first book to go through that, making sure it was my perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, where can people purchase the book from?
Well, the book can be purchased just about anywhere, any of the big block bookstores, as well as Amazon. You can get it in hard copy, soft cover, and right today is the release of all the um, ebooks for it right now, and they have a release at 99 cents for the book for the next 30 days.
Nice.
So, yeah. So we
And
want to get it out and get it in the library too.
yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to promoting it. I just we just finished promoting the first book. Now I'm getting ready to go out to bookstores and promote it with them as well. So a lot of independent bookstores. We have 42 independent bookstores just in this area alone of New York. And then there's more throughout Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Vermont, where I usually travel to the bookstores to promote that book and sign them at the same time. Um, but hopefully we'll expand more than just the New England area. But right now, that's where I'm at.
Okay. And as we close out, any final thoughts or closing remarks?
I, you know, it was fun to write, and I hope people, are interested enough to purchase the book to see, you know, what the life was like back then of, and maybe even learn from it. This is how, you're going to have issues, but you got to work them out together, and you can see where I made all my mistakes in the book, not working things out. So hopefully that it brings them, a little bit of happiness, depending on the age of the reader. Maybe they'll reflect back to a time in their life when they had something like that as well. So, hopefully that's what it does. It brings back some fond memories as well as, help other people get through their own issues with relationships.
Absolutely. And anywhere they can find you on social media or website?
I do have a website, which is robertacrothers.com out there. All one word, no spaces, no characters in between anything. So they can go out to that. They can also send me an email if they have any questions. They can also see any of the interviews that I have done out there as well. And they can see my bio out there as well on that, as well as the books.
Awesome. Well, Robert, I'd like to thank you for doing the interview today.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate your time and talking with me about this. It's been a great time with you.
My pleasure. So that's my time today on the Real Rap Radio Show. And I'll see you guys next time on the Real Rap Radio Show with Walil Archer on Downtown Hott Radio. Peace and blessings, everyone.
Listen to Downtown Hott Radio on the air 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. Tune in by downloading the Downtown Hott Radio's mobile app. Listen on our website, www.downtownhottradio.com.